It's the state's understanding that Ms. Brown is willing to go forward with a temporary order today. The state will be asking for testimony to confirm that Mr. Brown is in fact the father of the child. There has not been any DNA testing, private or otherwise, and the state is unaware of any request by Mr. Brown for that to happen. I believe testimony from Ms. Brown will be that Mr. Brown actually saw the child in person 3 times after or within the first year of the child's life. And the child is actually turned 7 in April. This case is one where we are seeking retroactive support, but we'd like to reserve that issue for final hearing. Tentative date for final, Your Honor, is October 24th. And today we'll be going forward with the military status certificate from the Defense Manpower Database, indicating that Mr. Brown has been in the military since January of 2014. The mother's testimony that as of 2017, when they last communicated, he was an E4, and we have used both the DFAS pay charts and the BAH calculator to go ahead and find what's appropriate given his current, our information is Fort Cavazos. And then, thank the rest, Your Honor. I was going to defer to Ms. Lambert.
All right, thank you. Ms. Lambert.
Thank you, Your Honor. So in the interim, since I've been appointed on this case, we've tried unsuccessfully to contact Mr. Brown through phone calls, email, certified mail, nothing's come back. The next step obviously is, although we're often hesitant to do so, attempting to get chain of command involved. We do know he's at Fort Cavazos and that he is still active duty, but I do not know his rank. And I do not know, other than being served, if he's aware that the hearing is going forward. I'm not adamantly opposed to a temporary order. The only concern is the fact that the parties were not married. There's no acknowledgement of paternity, and making a finding that he's the father. And in fact, when I contact him, he asked for DNA testing, trying to undo.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go ahead and order DNA testing. Okay, I know what's coming. Okay, as soon as we hit him with this payment, he's going to ask for DNA testing, and we're going to have that already taken care of. All right.
Okay, awesome.
But but the bottom line is, he knows what's going on. He got served. You sent him messages. He's just thinking that he can bury his head in the sand and this will all go away. Absolutely. Well, that's not. We all know that's not the way the law works. So anyway. All right, then. Well, I'm on the court's own motion. I'm going to order the DNA testing. That way, mom and the child can go get their draw and get it taken care of. And when he tries to do that, little end around, I'll have I'll have Miles Garrett standing there waiting to tackle him. Okay, there we go. So,
thank you, Your Honor.
Not a problem. Yeah, the judge is at hype for the football game tonight. All right. So. Yeah, real football, not that fake stuff they've been playing for the last 4 weeks. So yeah. Anyway, ma'am, I'm gonna go ahead and I'll go ahead and let's swear Ms. Brown in. I'll let her approve of the paternity as far as she's concerned, and we will go ahead and make this. We'll go ahead and start with a temporary order in this matter based on the fact he's just 100% ignoring everything we're trying to do here. All right. So at this time, Ms. Brown, would you please unmute yourself and raise your right hand?
Okay, there we go.
There you go. Yeah, don't worry, man. As a judge, I raised my wrong hand for the first 3 years I had this job. It took me a while, all right? So don't worry about it. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you don't give here today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth so help you?
I do.
All right, thank you very much, ma'am. I'll let the state call you as a witness and the ad litem. And if you at the end of the hearing, ma'am, if you have any questions or anything you think I need to know, I'll let you present that information to the court so long as it's relevant to what we're doing here today. Because technically, Ms. Lambert's representing the father's interest, the state's representing the state's interest, and you're representing your own interest as what we call a pro se litigant, your own legal rep. So at this time, however, I'll go ahead and let the state start off, and then they ad litem, and then if there's anything at the end, ma'am, that you think I need to know, you can tell me. Anyway, okay. Ms. Bongat, you may call your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Or your only witness, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state calls Ms. Brown. Ma'am, what is your full name?
Ashley Carlisha Brown.
Who is the child in this case?
Ashton Carter Brown.
How are you related to Ashton?
I'm his mother.
And ma'am, when was Ashton born?
April 5th, 2017.
And ma'am, who is Ashton's father?
Darian Brown.
And ma'am, is there any other person besides Mr. Darian Brown who could be Ashton's father?
No, ma'am.
Have you ever been married?
No.
And has Mr. Darian Brown met Ashton?
Yes.
Has he ever let you know of doubts that he has about being Ashton's father?
No.
And ma'am, at this time, does Ashton consider anybody else father?
No.
Were you able to hear my opening statement to the court, Ms. Brown?
No.
And apologies, ma'am. What I mean by that is my description to the court of the relief the three of us are seeking today, or at least issues we're bringing to the court's attention.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
And so, ma'am, in this case, you are comfortable with the court ordering a temporary order in addition to the DNA testing that Judge mentioned himself?
Yes.
And as far as the date for us to come back, we're hoping it'll be October 24th, where we can finalize everything.
That's fine.
And so at this time, ma'am, how does Ashton have health coverage?
Through the state?
And well, as far as you know, how is Mr. Brown employed?
Through the military?
And ma'am, when is the last time you and Mr. Brown had any communication?
It was, I can give you the exact date. It was my birthday. It had to be, no, it was after my birthday. I take that back. The last text message I sent to him, what he sent me was December 31st, 2017. And then in January 2018, I had moved to Arizona. I let him know I moved. And that was the last communication. He didn't write back.
Okay. And ma'am, has Mr. Brown actually, well, you said he does know who Ashton is and has never expressed doubts about being dad?
Correct.
And ma'am, based on Mr. Brown's employment in the military, did you have any problem with this court ordering Mr. Brown, once confirmed as dad, to put Ashton on TRICARE or any other benefits Ashton would be entitled to?
I wouldn't be opposed.
And then, ma'am, as far as you're aware, does Mr. Brown have any other children?
To my knowledge, I know one for sure. And there might be others, but I know one for sure.
How do you know that?
Because that's how I found out all the mess he was hiding. There was a picture of a little girl on one of his social media pages, and when I confronted him about it, he eventually confessed that was his daughter.
And did you get any other details, such as whether the daughter lives with him or if he pays support for her?
No, he kept me pretty much in the dark about everything. The most I knew was that he would talk to her on the phone.
Okay. And then, ma'am, do you know what rank Mr. Brown had when you all were last communicating?
The last known was an E4.
And you and he met in what year?
It was November 2015.
Your Honor, at this time, state offers into evidence the military status certificate indicating Mr. Brown's active duty start date.
All right, Ms. Brown, this is State's Exhibit number 1, the active duty information. Any objection to the court having it?
No objection.
Any objection, Ms. Lambert?
No, sir.
All right, State's once admitted. You may proceed.
Ms. Brown, according to that document, would you agree that Mr. Brown's start date was January 27th of 2014?
Yeah.
And that would track with what you knew to be his employment in 2015 when you met, and the rank you just testified him having in 2017, beginning of 18?
Right.
And ma'am, you were not made aware of what exact amount his earnings were, right?
Right.
And so you understand that the state was able to use that information for Mr. Brown, E4, right at 10 years of service at this point, to get a base pay according to the Defense Finance and Accounting Systems charts online.
Yeah.
Additionally, we were also able to find the basic housing allowance amount for someone in his current location.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
And so if this court does not count that daughter you mentioned, 20% of his net resources would be $826. So that would be your current child support amount beginning October 1st.
Okay.
And then, ma'am, if the court does recognize that other child you mentioned confronting Mr. Brown about, you understand that the actual amount goes to 723, which is 17.5% of his net income?
Yeah.
Was there anything else at this time, Ms. Brown, you wanted the court to consider?
No.
Thank you, ma'am. Your Honor, I pass this witness.
All right, Ms. Lambert, you're a witness.
I have no questions for this witness, Your Honor.
All right. All right, Ms. Brown, I'm gonna go ahead and look at doing, going ahead and making a temporary order, finding based on your testimony that this is the father, going ahead and setting up a temporary order, for child support. Obviously, we're gonna come back and deal with everything else dealing with, retroactive and his real rank, because, if he was E4 at 17, he's at least an E6 by now. If he's still in the military, the Army kicks you out if you don't make rank. So, that's just common knowledge. So I know he might be even be an E7 by now. But the bottom line is we're going to find out what he is. I'm going to have the Ms. Lambert. If you still, I'll tell you what. If you're still having trouble getting a hold of him, I may just go and I don't want to, since you were technically his SDRA attorney, I don't want you doing it. But the court may appoint an ad litem for the child and have the ad litem subpoena the father for a hearing, final hearing at a live hearing. If he's going to be that obstinate, then I'll look at it. And I know we're going to, the military people, we got to give them at least 75 days notice. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so Ms. Mongat, you may start looking at those dates, make sure they conform with that. And like I said, ma'am, I'm going to go ahead and set this up as a temp, get him in here. We're going to figure out what his rank actually is. And ma'am, if you want, and Ms. Lambert, if you need to get his chain of command involved, please do so.
Okay.
Because yeah, he's getting ready to owe about somewhere between $15,000 and $25,000 in back child support. So yeah.
Yes,
So,
Your Honor.
and let him know about the DNA test order also. All right.
I will.
All right. So Ms. Brown, questions or anything else you think I need to know?
The only question is, so how do I go about the DNA since I'm in Georgia and
Don't worry,
he's in-
the state will get a hold of your state and we'll get it all set up. Don't worry, man. And it's a swab. It's a mouth swab these days. We're long gone are the days when you got to take the needle. So yeah. So the blood draw. So yeah, that's long gone. So anyway, they'll set it up with your, they'll set up with your home state and we'll get you and the child. And once you do that, just let the state know that that's taking place and you're good. All right.
Okay.
Any other questions, ma'am?
No, sir.
All right. Anything else then at this time, Ms. Lambert?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Ms. Bongat?
Your Honor, with regard to the final date, I know we said October 24th, which is certainly not out to the 75 days.
Right.
That would be around November 20th. So was the court wanting this one to go ahead and be a December 5th or later hearing?
Go ahead and make it December 5th. Ma'am, under the military rules, in a civil case, I got to give him more notice than I would if he was just here in Texas as a civilian. So we're going to conform with that just in case I have to default him at that time if he still doesn't want to show up. But in the interim, the child support is going to be ordered to start the first day of October, and obviously it'll still be ordered the first day of November and December. And we come in December, we'll get everything else finalized. So. Yes, yeah, Ms. Mongat, let's go ahead and set it for appropriate date in December, okay? If Ms. Lambert's already on one of those dates, set it on that one, all right?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's a little far out, so I'm not sure if we got her that on any of the December dates.
Not yet.
Yeah, I didn't think so. So yeah, you got one now. So thank you. All right, anything else then, Ms. Mongat?
Your Honor, one issue that I forgot to ask about but was pled for was a non-disclosure. Is the court willing to have that not be included at this time, or should we reopen and get testimony as to the issue?
You need to reopen and get testimony as far as the issue is concerned. Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor. With the court's permission to reopen, I recall Ms. Brown.
All right, Ms. Brown, unmute yourself, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Brown, the pleadings that the state had filed indicated that there may have been some safety concerns resulting in a request to not disclose your contact information, including physical address. Were you familiar with that?
Yeah.
And ma'am, what safety concerns do you have regarding Mr. Brown having your contact information?
I don't trust him and his judgment of what he would do once this order is in place based on a previous incident where he had threatened me with violence once.
And ma'am, when exactly was that, and was it in person, text, or call?
It was through a phone call, and it was in 2016. I was still pregnant at the time. I don't remember the month, but I know it was in 2016.
And what was the context, ma'am, for the threat?
Basically, I called him. We were talking about, well, I don't know what we were talking about, but point is, I told him I would be coming over there, and he told me if I show up, he would shoot me.
And had there ever been anything leading up to that to make you aware of some violent tendencies?
No,
And do you know, ma'am, whether he owned guns or could carry out the threat?
yeah, he carries guns in the house. Well, there are guns in the house. Sorry.
And ma'am, since that was in 2016 and the two of you continued to communicate through end of 17, beginning of 18, was there ever a repeat or an in-person encounter since that threat?
No.
Anything else, ma'am, you wanted the court to consider on this issue of whether your contact information should be included in the order?
Yes, I'm also concerned because once I found out about the one child, I found out that he was potentially married, which is why he was hiding everything. So my only logical conclusion is I don't know what you're capable of, knowing that you're trying to hide your family. So.
All right, ma'am, that's kind of speculative, and yeah, and the specific threat is the one I'm going to go with for right now.
Okay.
Ms. Margaret, I'm gonna go ahead and do it as far as this current temporary order is concerned, ma'am. But that's a real old threat, and hopefully in 7 years this guy's has grown up a little bit. Well, obviously he hadn't grown up that much because he's avoiding coming in here. But for right now, I'll go ahead and grant it. But normally I'm only allowed to look back to the last couple of years, and then we'll see about getting him in here, see what his rank is, see what his disposition is these days, and I'll take it up again at final. Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. All right, but again, man, like I said, I'm supposed to only look at the last 2 years, and obviously, but the last he did this all within the 2-year time frame of since the last time you heard from him. So I'll go ahead and make it a part of the temporary order. But like I said again, I'm going to take it back up when we come in and final in December.
Okay.
All right. All right. Anything else then, Ms. Mongat?
No, Your Honor.
All right. May Ms. Brown be excused.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. I'm sorry, Ms. Lambert. Based on that last testimony, anything else you need, ma'am?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right. Thank y'all all very much, and I'll see you when it's well, it's probably only going to be 91 degrees outside in December. All right. Thank you. We're off the record, Pete. Thank you.